Hey, everybody. I will start things off with a happy birthday to Jim Harbaugh and a very Merry Festivus for the rest of us. I know it's been a while since the last episode. I know it's been a while since the Big Ten title game, but December is one of the busiest months of the year for me. So I took full advantage of the break in between the title game and the bowl game. So back things up. Michigan shuts out Iowa 26-0 in the Big Ten championship game. Michigan's back-to-back-to-back Big Ten title games, and they did it this year with a shutout. You could probably argue that Michigan's defense did better than Iowa's defense, but honestly, Iowa's offense has been on the struggle bus for years, and Michigan wasn't the only team to shut out Iowa this season. If you look at it on the flip side, the Iowa defense held Michigan to its lowest total offensive yards of the year. 213 total yards. Michigan was only averaging 3.33 yards per offensive play. The next lowest game was their road game at Maryland, where they were averaging 4.28 yards per offensive play. You could even say that the Michigan offense was struggling in this one. There were only two other offenses that faced Iowa that put up less yards than Michigan did: Northwestern and Rutgers. That means the likes of Nebraska, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa State, Western Michigan all put up more offensive yards than the Michigan Wolverines. You could argue and say that the Wolverines were kept in check by the Iowa defense. Don't necessarily agree? That's fine. But let's go ahead and look at some of the other information. Michigan had only 2 touchdowns during the entire game, and they had 4 total field goals. Let's talk about those 2 touchdowns specifically. The total yards for both of those touchdown drives, both of them, 2 touchdown drives, 1 touchdown drive, 2 touchdown drives. The total amount of yards that they had to go for both of those added together was 11 yards. 11 total yards, because they got set up by Semaj Morgan's amazing punt return, and they got set up by a forced fumble, a questionable forced fumble too, but 11 total yards. So if those two things didn't happen, the punt return and that forced turnover at that point in the field, would Michigan have scored a touchdown at all during this game? They still would have won, absolutely, but would they have scored a touchdown? That might be questionable. The way this episode is going, I'm sounding very negative. I'm not meaning to. It just is an interesting perspective that I didn't see a ton of people talking about. So that's what I'm emphasizing a lot here with this episode. But really what it's probably getting to is the Frank Broyles Award, which is the top assistant coach in college football. Both Michigan's offensive coordinator, Sharon Moore, and Iowa's defensive coordinator, Phil Parker, were up for this award, and it was announced after the Big Ten title game. Iowa's defensive coordinator, Parker, wound up winning the award. A lot of Michigan people weren't too happy, but honestly, I feel like I'm one of the few that think it kind of makes sense. Not very often do you get to have these coordinators go head to head, and these two went head to head, and the numbers really favor Iowa. Now, after saying all of that, am I concerned about Michigan's performance against Iowa with their next matchup being against Alabama? No, not really. Totally different scenarios. Plenty of time in between the games, and we'll be talking more about that in the preview episode this coming week. So, different story, different situation. I still feel good about things. I'm actually projecting that I'll be able to release that preview episode the Friday before New Year's weekend. Fingers crossed. Of course, there's a lot of holiday stuff going on. I'll finish up this episode with a few positive pointers, though. The Michigan defense did great. They shut out the Iowa offense. Yes, is the Iowa offense on the struggle bus? Sure, but they still got the shutout. Only one of 2 teams to be able to do that to Iowa this year. They also held the Iowa offense to its 3rd lowest total yards for the season. So they did really well. Also, the forced turnovers. Great play by the defense, which the defense will be a big component in the upcoming bowl game. Not a lot of highlights for the offense. Obviously, you had 2 touchdowns by Blake Corum, but then you had special teams. Amazing job by Semaj Morgan. Still love that play so much. Really excited to see him in this bowl game, but also in the upcoming seasons. But then also to talk about is Turner with the field goal unit. He has become a reliable resource. So great job, Turner. Great job, defense. Semaj Morgan, keep it up. So I just want to finish off with a very Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you have a great one. I hope you're able to enjoy it. I hope you can also enjoy the bowl games during this time of the year. We will be back for the preview episode of the Rose Bowl game. And as always, go blue.